Hello friends. Today we will discuss about ethics in publications. We will see what are some of the malpractices that can be committed by a researcher knowingly or unknowingly while doing the research work or while publishing the research paper. Hi, I am Dr. Wasim Sheikh. Let us see what are the different ethics in publications. Understanding the boundaries in scientific research and publishing is the key step in making sure your work gets off to a best start. Scientific misconduct or breach of publishing ethics can take different forms and be committed knowingly or unknowingly. If you are not aware of these unethical behavior, you may fall prey to one of these and your career as a researcher may be ruined. Sometimes it may lead to lawsuits, or sometimes you may have to pay some fine, or in the worst case scenario, you may end up behind bars. So let us start one by one and see what are the different unethical behavior or malpractices that we can indulge in knowingly or unknowingly. So the first one is authorship dispute. So deliberately misrepresenting a scientist's relationship with the published work. This means that you are deliberately putting an author's name in your research work to get some credit, or you are deliberately missing out some author's name from your work. That author may have contributed to your work, so you can't miss out the author's name. But sometimes people indulge in these malpractices that they are putting the names of the author who have not contributed to the research work, and they are deliberately removing the name of the authors who have contributed to the work. So what should be done? So the first thing that should be done is when you start doing your research work, you should discuss with your collaborator and colleagues and guides that who will be the author when you will publish the paper, who will be the co-authors, who will be the corresponding authors, so on and so forth. And once you do all this research work, you have collected the data, then the next thing which you can do is while you are preparing the manuscript, beforehand you should decide who will be the authors of these particular manuscripts. So that is a starting point. If you take into consideration all these points, I am sure the disputes in authorship will not occur. The second one is conflict of interest. So here you are not disclosing to the journal that you have somehow direct or indirect conflict, and when you have this conflict it will prevent you from being unbiased. I'll give you an example of that. So suppose if I have invested some money in a company and I am doing some research work for that company. I get some results and I get some data. Now I am trying to publish this article in a journal or in a newsletter or anywhere. I am preparing an article. So because I have invested in that company, I'll become biased towards my result. Even if I have some small gains in the result, I'll show that I have a very big gain. So what will happen is the readers will be influenced by my paper or by my research work and or by my writing, and this will directly or indirectly will result in the sales of the company. So even if the product is not good or it is mediocre, what I do is I just tell that the product is very good and it is great and you should buy this product and so on. So indirectly or directly I am influencing the mind of the readers and I am being biased to my company where I have invested the money. This is called as conflict of interest. So this is one more unethical behavior, that I am influencing the reader and then I am trying to show some results which are not good and I am being biased to that particular company. Third one is plagiarism. Plagiarism is nothing but you are passing off another's work or ideas as your own idea. Again, sometimes when we write paper, knowingly or unknowingly, we may come across some sentences from the review of literature. We are directly taking it and then putting up in our article, and that is caught in the plagiarism software, and that is an unethical behavior we are indulging knowingly or unknowingly. There are basically four types of plagiarism: copy and paste plagiarism, mosaic plagiarism, self plagiarism, and global plagiarism. So I've decided that I will make an entire video on plagiarism, so keep an eye on that and we'll talk about plagiarism more in that particular video. So the bottom line is that you can't take someone else's work and put up in your own research article. If your referring to someone else's work, you need to put that in the reference, and then you need to cite their work in the text. So all these things you'll come to know when you write the research paper, how to give the referencing, how to cite the reference in the text, and so on. So basically whatever things or whatever text you are taking from someone else's paper, you need to write it in your own words. That is the first thing. You write it in your own words, then you give the reference, and also you cite that reference in that particular text, that this particular sentence or this particular line, image, figure, table, whatever it is, you need to give the reference for that, and there is a reference list in the end of the paper, and you need to cite that reference in the text. That is the main thing. If you do this, then you are not caught in plagiarism. The fourth one is simultaneous submission. Submitting a paper to more than one journal at a time is also an unethical behavior, and I'm sure we are not indulging in that, but if unknowingly you do that, please be aware that you can't do that and it is unethical. If you are caught, then mainly what will happen is you will be banned from submitting your article to that particular journal. So please keep that in mind, that you can't submit one article to two journals at a time. That is an unethical behavior. Fifth is research fraud. This includes fabrication and falsification. Now what are these two terms? Fabrication means we are fabricating the research data. So initially when we start the research work, we plan to get some output. If we don't get that output, then what may happen is sometimes people, they just create some fabricated data, they just give some false data and get the results. That is called as fabrication. It is clearly unethical. Next is falsification. That means you are manipulating the research data, you are manipulating the table, images. So you are trying to manipulate the data, even that is really unethical. So you can't create some data on your own, that is you are fabricating the data, and you can't manipulate the data. Both these will include in the research fraud, and it is really unethical to indulge in these practices. In conclusion, I want to say that please don't indulge in these 5 types of unethical behavior. So not indulging in these unethical behavior will benefit in long term. I am sure that you will not indulge in these practices. So thanks for watching. All the best.